backfire and you end up going for a few runs. And as I said in the last encounter between these two teams, with Paul Sterling and Ross Adair up top, he was a little bit expensive, but I think he'll fancy his chances here against a relatively young opening pair, and he'll hopefully be looking to take a couple of wickets in the power play.
Well, early wickets is exactly what he's got, because straight away as Morgan Topping looks to attack down the wicket, he's given away all of his stumps to hit the pad, but doesn't manage to go past the stumps, as the Northern Knights, while they lose an early one, Morgan Topping, he goes for none, and the Knights are 1 for 1.
Not the perfect start there for the Northern Knights, that's for sure. Morgan Topping doing what he does best, being nice and positive, nice and aggressive, but unfortunately for him, it's just not coming off this time. A little bit unlucky there that hasn't snuck past the stumps and gone away for a couple leg byes, I reckon. Looked like it sort of took a deflection down as opposed to across. I suppose not the start that they were looking for, but certainly won't affect the way that the Northern Knights will look to play. They'll continue to be nice and aggressive, and they'll try and stamp the authority on this game from the get-go.
It's such a good point. It looks like it actually went down off his thigh pad, so very unlucky dismissal for Morgan Topping. So he'll be disappointed with that. You'd expect that to have gone over the stumps, and it brings out the captain, James McCollum, into the middle, someone we're used to seeing more so in the longer format. So I'm actually really excited to see how he goes about this innings, because it's just not something that I've really seen much from him. Just a note on the difficult one. He's also got a flip where his plan of bowling.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I think you're expecting him just to hit the deck.
There's no mid-on is the other piece of information that I was probably leaving out there, and actually interesting to see a fielder coming around. Josh Manley was trying to cover mid-on. He's in mid-off. He was ready to sprint across as that one was full and straight. And
he certainly would have had to, because with no mid-on in the ring there, I think if James McCollum had got that a couple metres further to the right of Liam McCarthy, it would have been probably away for 4, if not 2. So, yeah, I think he's probably got his length wrong there looking at the field. I think he's got to try and hit the deck as hard as he can, bowl sort of that waist-height length.
Well, that one's gone in quite a lot. There is some overhead clouds, so expect some swing, some movement through the air. So it's taken the inside half of the bat and gone for a single. So not the way he would have been looking to get off the mark, James McCollum, but he's down the other end.
No, he'll certainly take that, won't he? You know, as a batter, if you get bat on ball, doesn't really matter where it goes. When you're on noughts, you just want to get up the other end and get off the mark. Definitely looking to be nice and positive there, James McCollum, looking to cash in on anything over pitched. So Liam McCarthy is going to have to be careful. He needs to make sure that his lengths are good here.
He's straight down the leg side, so he'll have to bowl again too. It's just a field where there's no margin for error, isn't it? Because third and fine inside the ring, and then a slip. How's he going to get a cut behind?
Yeah, I suppose you're effectively saying if you stray from the stumps, well, that's bad bowling, and if you nick him off and it goes for 4, then that's just unlucky, and that's all you can really do, I suppose. But yeah, it is making it very difficult if you leave the stumps here with this field, with his pace.
He gets full again, but it goes straight back down the ground. Josh Manley does the tidying up. The table at the moment, Leinster Lightning well out in front with 4 wins. They've got 20 points, and then Knights in second. So they'll be trying to close that gap between them and the Leinster Lightning. They're on 10 points at the moment with 1 game in hand. So if they can win today, then they'll only be 5 points behind Leinster Lightning as they try and back up the double win from last year. They were T20 and IP50 champions. Well, there's the shorter one that's edged, and it's gone straight to the short third. 1 bounce though, so no wicket. It's been an eventful over from McCarthy. This is the first one ends. It's 3 for 1.
It's a very good start by the Munster Reds. I'm sure they'll be absolutely delighted with that. As we said, you know, Josh Manley and Liam McCarthy were put under a bit of pressure when these two teams first met. Different conditions here today. Not playing at Pembroke, where boundaries are probably a little bit smaller, and overhead conditions are certainly assisting bowlers today. So I think the Knights will certainly have probably assessed already that 220 is not going to be a par score here.
Well, speaking of that, what do you reckon is a par score?
That's a good question, Izzy.
To put you right under the pump right there. You can have a little bit of time to think about it if you like. Josh Manley, the Munster Reds captain, will be bowling the second over from the City end. Is that enough time?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Well, looking at the last game that was played here between the Knights and the Warriors, the Knights got to about 115. It was actually James McCollum that held the innings together well. I think he ended up with 60 of about 55 balls, and it really didn't look easy. So I'm just thinking potentially a similar sort of day here, overcast conditions. It might only be 150, 160 is a par score, and you're in the game. As Josh Manley comes steaming down towards us.
Well, it's a loose shot from James McCollum. He liked the look of that one. There's a short catcher in front of the bat there. Also a slip. Deep point again as well on square leg. So similar field.
Similar field indeed, yeah, and I think that's exactly what James McCollum was doing there. He's thinking, if I can get this in front of square over that short catcher at extra, it's going to be 4 or 2 at least. So why not go quite hard at it? I think that's probably a fair enough tactic from him. It's something he'll keep looking to do.
That movement away, it's a slightly easier field to bowl to with the swing away from the batter with the deep point, and then there's 2 covers inside the ring, so that you're not as worried about that mid-on fielder that's missing.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair enough, isn't it? It's a lot more difficult shot to go against the shape and hit you through mid-on there. I suppose the one thing I will say, both Manley and McCarthy are quite tall blokes. It might be quite difficult to hit them down the ground unless the pitch is really sort of coming onto the bat nicely. Yeah. So maybe that'll be something that's in the back of the Munster Reds' minds here. Is it quite difficult to hit down the ground?
And a little tempter.
A little tempter indeed. Bring that slip into play. That might be where their thinking's at.
It just looks like it's a little bit slippy underfoot, which is no surprise if you're living up or you're visiting around Belfast. There's a lot of rain, I believe, this morning. I didn't drive through it myself coming up from Leinster, but arrived and it was quite warm actually.
There was plenty of rain this morning, I can assure you that much. We were sort of having a little bit of a chuckle earlier that this game would never happen.
Well, that one's cut James McCollum in half. And it doesn't look easy batting conditions out there by any means.
No, I don't think it looks easy out there. And as we mentioned, the rain this morning, the covers have been on probably from the weekend. There were rain showers over Saturday and Sunday, as well as yesterday. So covers have probably been on all weekend, plus an extra day. Just wonder if maybe there's a little bit in it. Maybe that 150 is probably even possibly too high at the moment.
Well, he decides to take the pitch out of the equation, lifts it over a fine leg, and Liam McCarthy does well to stop that one going to a boundary, and in fact he keeps it to 1.
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of that from James McCollum. It's something, as you mentioned, Izzy, when he came out to bat, you're far more used to seeing McCollum in the longer format, but that's certainly something he's worked on a massive amount over the last few years, is his deflection game, being able to go over the keeper, over 45, as well as trying to be able to hit the ball a little bit harder in front of square. So he's added a few things to his game, and it's certainly something that he'll look to go to, especially after a couple dots when he's under a little bit of pressure.
Jake Egan. Oh my goodness, how has that missed? It's looked like it should have taken off stump and then hit the top of the stumps as well, but it's gone over the top. I reckon a coat of paint, and this could have been the end for Jake Egan.
Definitely. As we watch the replay back here, Josh Manley's definitely getting the ball to talk a little bit here, and that has nipped back significantly, and is probably, as you mentioned, as he missed the bail by a coat of paint. I think that just shows exactly how much there is in the wicket, and how much these two seamers could get out of it if they keep hitting that good length.
Well, it's been tough going so far for the Northern Knights, but Egan and McCollum are still out there, and after 2 they've added just 1 to the total, 4 for 1.
100% right there, Izzy. It has been tough. As I said earlier, Manley and McCarthy will certainly be relishing these conditions and being able to bowl at well, not at Paul Sterling and Ross Adair as they did in the previous game, and they're certainly making the most of it and looking really good at the moment. They'll be very happy with the start.
Is it one of those days where you bowl first and you get a little bit carried away with how much fun it is bowling, and actually 120, 130 could, they go off at half time, think we're well on top, and it's really difficult. So it's kind of a difficult one to judge as a bowling team what you're trying to keep them under.
Yeah, very much so. And sometimes, you can get a little bit carried away, as you say, and you can end up Manly bowls 4 or 5 beautiful balls that over, but just tries to go for that glory ball next over, and that goes to the boundary, and you leak 1 or 2 extra boundaries here and there. So I think it's really important for the Munster Ridge just to stay patient. They've already got 1 wicket. They'll be happy enough with that. If they can grab another one and keep I can't see them keeping the rate at 2 and over for a lengthy period of time, but
Big wide down the leg side there from Liam McCarthy. Starts 2 straight as McCollum moves across. I think he was having a little think about the fact that McCollum had moved across, but that was a wide even from where he was standing.
Yeah, I think that was definitely fair enough, and that's possibly even, I mean, you could argue there that McCarthy's just looking to go a little bit straighter, trying to make sure the stumps are in play. As we say, that is where it can be difficult for a bowling team, and you're trying to look for wickets because you feel like you need to. I think it's so important, as we say, the Munster Ridge, just stay patient here, keep the balls in the right area, and the rewards will come.
So it starts a little bit wider there, and that's got some steep bounce. It's hit James McCollum's bat very high up, and he's ended up dropping it. Not something you see too often.
You haven't played much cricket with James McCollum then.
Does this happen all the time?
It happens regularly. It happens regularly. It's the dramatic look of, that ball's done a little bit extra. That one's bounced to come back at me and shouldn't have hit my splice.
So do you have a little bet beforehand about when he's going to drop the bat? Obviously not when you're on comms, because we're not allowed to bet on games, but
Naturally.
When you're in the field.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Everyone takes an over. Another ramp shot attempted. A big appeal. Aidan Seaver not moved though. I think they must have hit the pad because Liam McCarthy didn't seem too interested. Only the players behind the wicket.
Yeah, definitely. The bowler just turned around and walked back to his mark there, and as we said in the last over there, James McCollum, that's definitely something he will look to go to when he's under pressure here. He knows, especially with the field you mentioned in the first over there, is if he gets a little bit of bat on that, it should be 4 or
yeah, just his head position
more.
not great there, was it? He didn't stay in line, so trying to get out of the way of the ball and ends up going far too far away from it. So that's better from McCarthy, just hitting a good line and length and almost saying to the batters, what are you going to do to counter it? Especially after he's just missed a ramp, he can be a little bit more confident he's not going to probably back it up. Something that Amy Hunter would do though. You're the Dragons coach.
I am indeed. So, and Amy Hunter 100% would, yes.
Yeah,
no, it's
like,
something.
I missed it, I must go and do it again.
Correct. It's certainly a strength of hers, and goodness me, she plays it well.
McCollum gives himself, moves outside off and smashes that one.
It's the first one that's found the middle of the bat, and it's gone flying to short extra cover there, and I think it's probably hit him on the foot before it even managed to get his hands down. Young Harry Dyer there, playing at his home club here in Stormont, who obviously hosts Civil Service Northern Ireland. And that has flown to young Dyer, who just hasn't managed to grab onto it. I think it's literally hit him on the left foot.
We call that a chance?
That's certainly a tough one.
Would you expect to take that? Once again, moving across his stumps, McCollum, and you can just see the frustration in Liam McCarthy. He's had a little word with himself about bowling yet another wide, because outside of those, McCollum hasn't been able to score.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to, as we said, he just needs to stay patient, keep the balls in the right area. Don't want to be going searching here. He's probably gone a little bit too full the ball before, and then another wide. Just needs to make sure that he keeps the ball in the right area, and as we've said already, there's enough in it for the pitch to do something.
There's the one that goes away, and he's gone full again, but it just feels like James McCollum's trying every single shot and nothing is coming off for him so far. 2 from 11 now.
Yeah, and I would have said at the start of James McCollum's innings, having seen a couple balls moved around, that he's probably the perfect man to go in there, you know, when the ball is moving around. There are not many people in the NCU that you'd rather have at the crease than James McCollum. He's got the ability to bat long periods of time, fantastic technique. Wouldn't mind seeing him just go back to that, get himself off strike, drop a couple into cover point here.
Well, it's gone past Zubair Khan at short 45. It was aerial, but it didn't go to the right area, as finally James McCollum gets one away for the first boundary of the day.
It'll be interesting to see if that's just what he needed to get him away there. Again, McCarthy going slightly too straight. Well, in his defence, McCollum has shifted across. He's just helped it around the corner past 45. And as I say, it'll be interesting to see if that's just the little break that McCollum needed to get himself up and running.
Well, 2 wides and the boundary in the over, so 6 from it, as after 3 the Northern Knights are going along pretty slowly, 10-4-1. And Josh Manley will be coming back. He's the one who hasn't got a wicket yet, but he has looked worth a couple in that first over. He's got to stay patient, like he said, and not chase the early wicket that he feels like he deserves. A quick single taken into point, so Egan off the mark with that delivery. He's said, right, James McCollum, you can continue to try and attack.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what the Knights need to be doing at this moment. There are other ways of scoring at 5, 6, 7 and over. You don't always have to come in boundaries. There's an easy one into square leg on the leg side. There's an easy one into points every delivery here. And if they can just get a little bit of momentum, take it over, rotate the strike a little bit, try and make it a little bit more difficult for the Munster bowlers, they'll see the rewards, I reckon.
Big shout. The question's asked of Johnny Kennedy. He has a long think about it, and he's given it out. So James McCollum, well, he's very frustrated with that performance because he feels he could have had a big score today, but he's wrapped on the pad, and the Northern Knights lose their second.
Not entirely sure whether he's frustrated with himself or with the decision, or a little bit of both there, is he? Did not look overly impressed there to James McCollum. Maybe 2 noises, maybe a little bit of an inside edge. Not entirely sure. It's obviously relatively tough to tell from back here, but let's have a look at the replay here and see if we can spot anything that would suggest that.
Well, absolutely impossible to tell from here, but Johnny Kennedy had a good view of it, and if it hasn't hit any bat, it's fairly adjacent. It did look like the bat came down. It could have been some bat, it could have been afterwards. It's anyone's guess, but Johnny Kennedy was confident. He had a good think about it, decided that that was out. So Josh Manley, well, he kept on plugging away at a good line and length, and he's got his first victim.
He does indeed, and as you said, he hasn't picked up that wicket yet, but he's bowled fantastic first over. Just took him 2 balls in the second over to pick up that first wicket, and well deserved, I think we can all agree on. As Cade Carmichael walks out to bat now, coming in at number 4 here under some pressure. Not only is the pitch offering a bit of assistance to the bowlers, but the scoreboard is not looking pretty for the Knights at the moment. And as I said about James McCollum and Jake Egan, I'd like to see Cade Carmichael just accept the fact that a couple singles to get him going here is not the worst thing in the world.
Jack Dixon, who tidies that up, so he's aware that there's a big gap in point. He's moved around quickly as Carmichael can't get off strike in his first delivery, but an assured looking shot from him.
It was indeed, yeah. Again, looking to be nice and positive still. I think that'll be something we see from the Knights throughout the innings. When it is tough, if you do get something slightly over pitched, sure you do have. Exactly. Second ball go through to the wicket keeper. Don't think Josh Manley will be overly disappointed. The other thing here that I will say is the Knights need to be looking at this Munster attack and thinking these 2 are definitely the main threat here. If we can get through these 2, hopefully we can cash in a little bit and get ourselves to a competitive score.
Yeah, looking for different matchups. Kate Carmichael knows it's a single, but some kind of miscommunication means it was almost a chance, and then some poor backing up means that they're going to turn it into 3. So not something you see too often in IP20 cricket. There's 2 overthrows.
Can't imagine Josh Manley will be overly happy with that. Not a great piece of cricket all round, to be honest. It looked like Carmichael punched it into the gap without calling, set off for the single. Jake Egan and Carmichael had a bit of a miscommunication, a little bit of a mix-up, and then, as you say, some poor backing up resulted in 2 overthrows. So a little bit of a let-off gets Carmichael off the mark with 3.
Yeah, poor backing up with the batter and the fielders. Josh Manley goes 2 full, no mid-on in place, and it's punched down the ground by Egan. Well timed, but it won't make it all the way. That little bit of extra moisture in the outfield means that it's reeled in there in the deep. So an eventful last few balls of that over. There was the wicket in it, but also 2 threes and a single, so 7 from it, and after 4 the Knights are 17 for 2.
Yeah, the Knights will certainly be hoping that those last couple of balls just give them that little bit of momentum, along with the bowling change here, where, as I mentioned, you know, Liam McCarthy and Josh Manley offering probably the main threat of the Munster Reds. I'll certainly be looking to try and put anyone that comes into the attack now under a little bit of pressure.
Well, as you mention it, there's going to be a change in bowling. Zubair Hassan Khan, overseas player, will come on from the Dundonald end, the tall bowler. If he airs, he tends to air a little bit full, so that's good news for the Northern Knights, because when it's a little bit shorter, the pitch comes into play that bit more.
Very much so, and you can see immediately there, and I'm not sure I agree with it, but slips come out. I would certainly be trying to be a little bit more aggressive if I was the Munster Reds.
It goes too short, much too short, as that's lifted for the first maximum of the day. Good contact, picks up the length early, does Jake Egan, and that's got his innings going.
That's a top shot by Jake Egan for so many reasons. 1, it's an incredibly good shot, but 2, the situation of the game, the conditions, everything. He needs to make sure that the change bowler is put under massive pressure here, which exactly is what he's done. But again, there have been very, very few bad balls and very, very few scoring opportunities, so making sure that you climb in when they're there is so important, and that's exactly what he's done there.
Well, the run-up not going right for Zubair Khan. He's done the right thing and decided to do it again. Probably still thinking about that 6 off his first ball, especially with this, when the score had been 17 for 2. Not a good feeling to go for a maximum on your first delivery.
Slightly short again there, but not quite as short as Egan looks to play the same shot, but finds the inside half of the bat out to deep square, and they just get through for a single there. I will say the one thing that Josh Manley and Liam McCarthy did so well, they never really looked like they struggled with their run-ups. With the amount of rain that's been around, I'd imagine it's a little bit soft underfoot there, and they made it look like it was absolutely no issue whatsoever. But obviously Zubair Khan not quite finding the run-up the same way there, struggling to find his length in his first 2 deliveries. Certainly need to find it quickly here to keep the pressure up for the Munster Reds.
Well, still inside the power play, so only the 2 fielders allowed outside the ring. Needs to bowl straight with 3rd on the ring and fine leg as well. Again, looks short, but that's the first indication of the ball really holding up, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. I was actually going to say Kate Carmichael would have thought that he missed out there, but I think you're so right there. He's just mishit that straight to cover point almost in front of square, and I think as I say, you're 100% right there. That's just lack of pace, and he's not able to get that behind point for 2 or possibly even 4.
There's that fuller one, and he's straight down leg as well. The Whites have been plentiful so far in the innings for Munster Reds, and something they might look back on and regret, because today it's looking like a lower scoring match, and those wides can be so costly.
I think Zubair Khan needs to really zone in on top of off stump here, not try to do too much, just bang away top of off stump here.
Well, that one's moved away, and He looks to play the pull shot, does Carmichael. He's such a good runner between the wickets, though. Manages to turn what seemed like a certain one into a 2.
He did indeed. And again, there is, as you said, signs that there's a little bit of stickiness in the wicket there. Unless that was a leg cutter, which I don't think it was, but it's almost come off the cue end of Carmichael's bat. He was way too early through the pull shot, and it's sort of looped towards backward point / short third for a couple.
Backward point / the short third. I like that fielding position. It was pretty wide outside off for a pull shot as well, and probably not the right shot selection. Well, that one's the right ball to pull. It finds the fielder in the deep. Carson McCullough doing the tidying up.
It's quite tricky. It's not back, but I think it's how good that was. In fact, that he latched onto it.
Launched by some 2 over. That's absolutely enormous from Jake Egan as he finishes the over as he began it. Well, it's an expensive over from Hassan Khan, 17 from it, and after 5, Northern Knights are 34 for 2.
Yeah, I think that over has really shifted the momentum a little bit towards the Northern Knights, and they're probably looking now going just under 7 and over. Not overly disappointed with that start, whereas at the start of that over they were certainly under the pressure and under the pump.
Well, that's it from me and JCD for now. We'll hand over to Ali McCalmont and John Kenny.
Thanks, Izzy. Thanks, James. So, very interesting start there. Certainly the first 4 overs, extremely difficult to bat, it looked. The ball was nipping about quite a bit. Manley and McCarthy, the double act for the Reds. They got the ball in the right areas, and it was a little bit for them in those first 4 overs. And 2 wickets taken by the Reds, but then that last over in the first change, Khan's gone for 17 with 2 huge sixes off the back foot from Jake Egan. I'm delighted to welcome alongside me here John Kenny. Welcome to Belfast, John.
Thanks.
Sun's broken through.
Yeah, lovely. It was a bit rainy earlier on in the area. Coming up it was showery, but yeah, lovely day. The square, right at the edge of the square, is the wicket today, so everything kind of falling away to the left hand side from right to left as we're looking at it. There's a roll down the hill. The mid-wicket region is much shorter boundary. Change of bowling now. It's Nicholas Damsgaard, the Danish international, coming on now from the city end. First time we've seen spin. To the air.
Yep, that's going to be out. Poor shot this time from Cade Carmichael. No timing whatsoever. Really give himself a long time to look at the left arm spinner, and completely mistimed that straight to mid-off, and the 3rd wicket for the Knights down already. 34 for 3. Carmichael goes caught Manley. Old Damsgaard for just 6.
I think Ricketts at a long time, really. Morgan Topping going in the first over, bowled by McCarthy, and the 2nd wicket falling in the 4th over, scoring 11 now. Courtesy of those couple of big sixes from Egan, they moved the score up to 34. We're in the 3rd wicket down then in the 6th over, and Cade Carmichael, as Ali said, is a poor shot. Really just pushed at it, lobbed it straight in the air to mid-off, and their captain Manley snatched at that. Took a nice, safe, comfortable catch. Damsgaard already amongst the wickets. I forget the Munster Reds won the toss, decided to bowl, put the Northern Knights in, and so far, so good for them.
Absolutely. I don't think it was a difficult decision for Josh Manley winning the toss and deciding to bowl first. That's brought man bang in form this season so far. Brian Pretorius to the crease. Again, the aggressive nature of these Knights. You can see it, Kid Carmichael wasn't prepared to let Damsgaard bowl at him. Just the execution of the shot wasn't great from Carmichael. Pretorius has been the informed cricketer, not just in the interprovincials but also in the Northern Cricket Union. He was at the game on Saturday. He played for his club side Woodville, scored 100, a couple of wickets, and basically single-handedly won that game for them. So he's a really important player for the Knights now.
Good bowling. Batsman up, pushed that into the offside. Leinster lead the IP20 table currently. This is the catch-up match now between these two sides. They've played 5 each at the end of this game. Leinster leading the table on 20 points from the 5 games played. They won 4 of them. One of them was a non-result. Brady, one of the games against the Northwest Warriors, was rained off. That's the end of that over. And 35 for 3 at the end of 6.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think that was the only way that these other 3 sides were going to get near the Lightning. I think was a bit of rain. That was last week. They had a no result against the Warriors. So really a big game here for these 2 sides. If they really want to start chasing the Lightning down, they've got to get going, because this is game 10 in this IP20 trophy. So we're halfway through. So both of these sides are really going to have to get going after the Knights lost to the Warriors a few weeks back here at Stormont. To James McCullum at the toss, they well ahead in that game for the vast majority of it. It was just a blitz at the end from Cameron Millie, got the Warriors over the line. It's really important for the Knights and the Reds here. And the Reds have started well in the power play, 35 for 3.
Change of bowling then from the Dundonald then. Ali Frost, after unfortunate Zuber Khan that hit all parts of the ground in the previous over. Runs immediately. That's whipped around the corner. It's gone all the way along the ground for 4. Little how you doing? And batsman jumped on over that.
Yeah, very similar to the last over. It's short. The pace really. There were 2 big hits from Jake Egan. It's the longer side of the ground, and our pavilion was in danger on stage. Much more sedate, as it were, for Pretorius. Just rocked his hands over the top of the ball, rolled it for 4. Nice shot from Pretorius. Midfield, there is cover there. The boundary. Jordan Neal right there. Another 2. Start to this, the 7th. Say Pretorius looks to be pretty good nick already.
Close in fielder. A little annoyed about himself. Not getting to that. Jack Dixon.
Frost has got away with that one, I think. First of all, would have been a guaranteed wide down the leg side, but Pretorius caught up with it, and if he was going to play the shot, I think he would have been looking to hit that for 4. Didn't really time it. Fine leg was able to keep it down to a single.
Usually the new man coming in would act as a foil to Egan, who was there on 17, having opened the batting. As you explained the way Pretorius has been batting, he's not a man to stand there and play that foil role.
Absolutely. I think I do think we watch Ireland doing something similar at the minute. Since Paul Stirling's taken over, they've definitely decided to go on the aggressive route. You can see them now coming in pretty much from ball 1 with the long batting lineup Ireland have got. And it's a similar story with the Knights here. Coach Simon Johnson going with that aggressive note. It's front of square. That'll be 4 more. A little bit short here from Ali Frost and Pretorius. All over it. Hits it for another boundary.
The Reds had the Knights in a bit of trouble. Pretorius has come in and showed real intent. He's already on 12. Almost catching up with Egan, who's on 18. Getting those two enormous sixes off Zubair Khan from the Dundonald end. And Frost is doing something similar to what Khan was doing. He's just pitching it far too short. The batsman is rocking back and hitting it for 4. It's better.
Much better length that time. Only Frost, and the difference there. We reach the end of the 7th. The first 4 overs from McCarthy and Manley, both successful in that 4-over spell, but just 16 from the opening salvo, really. And now, after 7, 3 overs later, to 47. So the change bowling, certainly from this, the Dundonald end has not worked.
Damgard continuing then from the city end, successful in his opening over. Getting rid of Cade Carmichael in his previous over. Using that slope to bring it into the batsman, trying to tuck them up. So far, so good. Just a single off this over so far.
Yeah, just where that wicket is. As you mentioned, John, over to the left-hand side of the square as we look. Just knowing this ground over the years, the further you go towards the knock road, the more spin it does tend to take. Gavin Hoey bowled beautifully here last year from the Lightning. Will take a little bit of spin.
Caught and bowled. Yeah, Damgard diving away to his left-hand side takes a relatively easy catch, and that surprised the batsman. Short, sharp stay for Pretorius. Gone for 12. 4 down now. The score on 48.
Huge moment in the game. Pretorius, look, decent form there. Strange dismissal at first look. Just thought he hit that straight into the ground. Just held up. You can see it just held in the pitch a little bit. Izzy and Cameron Dow were talking a little bit earlier about a little bit of tackiness in the pitch with the weather we've had this morning. It's appeared to just hold in the pitch a little bit, and Pretorius went through with the shot. Certainly successful in lobbing it back. Damgard did the rest. Caught and bowled, so a massive wicket for the Reds there. Got their 4th. It's brought Ben Callitz to the crease. 48 for 4.
Callitz is the Northern Knights wicketkeeper, coming in at 6 to join Jake Egan. He's starting to run out of partners now, actually, Egan. He's still there on 19. Left-handed batsman. Slip has been dispensed with, and that'll be Damgard to continue. He's going to go over the wicket now, left-handed. And it's another flip in the air, and that's out, and he's on a hat-trick. Well, whatever's happening in the pitch out there, it seems to be just lobbing back to the bowler on a couple of occasions, and then his previous over, another ball lobbed down to Josh Manley at mid-off. So 3 wickets so far for Damgard. Callitz lasted for 1 ball. He's gone for the naught, and Damgard is on a hat-trick.
Yeah, almost carbon copy, really. He's playing out in front of the body. Really getting used to the pace of the pitch, letting it come on to him. See, that's just no spin, really, and just lobbed back to the bowler. As easy as dismissal as you could wish for. Callitz not really giving himself much of a chance there. Just patting that back towards the bowler, and Damgard has taken 2 catches and 2 wickets off his own bowling. As you say, John, he's on a hat-trick.
He's tied them down at the far end, at the city end. The problem end has been the Dundonald end. Ali Frost went for few in the last over, so did Zuber Candy over before that from the Dundonald end. So yet another change of bowling from this end. Carson McCullough, a 19-year-old from Belfast, CIYMS, part of the under-19 Irish squad. So spin has been successful at one end, so they're going to entrust Carson McCullough with his slow left-handers from the Dundonald end.
Yeah, it's Tyrone Cohen. He's come in. So CIYMS to CIYMS now. Both of these players at the Belfast club just up the road here. Belmont, Carson McCullough, Tyrone Cohen. They know plenty of each other. Yeah, just looking at the wicket, I would expect it to take a little bit of spin and be quite slow off the surface.
Changing the angle again, going over the wicket. It's a shorter, flatter delivery of that. Oohs and ahs out there. Inside edge just missed the leg stump.
Got highlighted there. No timing at all. Give yourself a little bit of a chance here, I think. See a little bit of turn. Definite turn there for Carson McCullough. Not quick turn, but it is turn. $50 up for the Knights, but it's that figure after the 50 that will cause real concern. Half the side back in the pavilion.
John Kennedy and Aidan Seaver are 2 umpires today out in the middle. The sun has just disappeared for the moment. No threat of rain, thankfully. Today was rain in the area this morning. In fact, it was quite wet here at Stormont, but it's all dried out. We got a prompt start, 3:30. These sides will meet tomorrow now as well here back at Stormont in a 50-over game. 51 for 5. We're in the 9th.
I think both coaches will be watching the coverage here ahead of that game tomorrow, not just this one. Thinking already it might be a good toss to win tomorrow as well.
It's just being a little circumspect now with the 2 spinners on. 51 for 5 now at the end of 9.
Yeah, it doesn't look easy out there. Did a little bit early on with the new ball. McCarthy and Manley have been good for the Reds over the past couple of years generally. A little bit of assistance today, and there you can see up top Morgan Topping in his return. It's Knights colours from that hamstring injury he picked up on the A tour. He went first ball, and then Manley followed that up with an LBW decision against McCullum for 6, and then it's been spin. Damgard get Carmichael for 6, Pretorius for 12, and then Callett's first ball. So he's on a hat-trick. Bowls to Egan. He sees off the hat-trick.
Bit of an anticlimax. Egan survives.
Just been one. It's actually a big innings for Jake Egan here. He's been in the night setup at the end of last season and has been brought into the squad permanently now this year. Was batting down at 5-6 in the opening T20 festival, but with Ross Adair, obviously with Ireland, needed a new opener, so he's come in and opened. So he's got on to 22 off 19. He's been picked in the emerging squad as well to play West Indies Academy, so he'd really like to, not just for his team but for himself, put up a big score here. It's a beauty. Just on with the arm.
A lot Christopher Metcalf standing behind the stumps today for Munster, diminutive player. Good contrast between himself and Tyrone Cohen. CIYMS, a big tall man. Dwarfs the wicketkeeper.
And Damgard,
Yeah.
he's another few inches on top of that as well.
It's a really good spell from Damgard. It's going down leg side. 3 for 4 off 2.5 overs is impressive stuff. Last over went for 3. This one just the 2. They're getting stuck out there. We're coming up to the halfway point. Only on 53. 5 back of the hutch.
Damgard's chasing down those figures from that festival of Barry McCarthy. If you remember back at the festival, he took 5 wickets for just 3 runs. Damgard the other way around. He's taken 3 wickets for 5 at the moment, but it's currently 54 for 5 as we reach the halfway point for the Northern Knights.
Thanks to Ali McCalmont and John Kenny, as Carson McCullough begins with a pretty short delivery that's helped out into the leg side, but there was a bit of turn on offer, so didn't get quite as much of that as he would have wanted. Jake Egan, who's been out there from the beginning. There's a very wide from McCullough and actually not collected behind the stumps by Ali Metcalf. So that turns into 2 valuable runs as I welcome back James Cameron Dow, JCD. We've been off for about 5 minutes because the Munster Reds have absolutely flown through those overs, numbers 6 to 10. And plenty of wickets falling as well.
Yeah, indeed, Izzy. Couple spinners on and things are happening. Carson McCullough certainly looks like he's getting a little bit of spin from this end. I'm sure he wouldn't mind this battle either, bowling at his club teammate. Tyron Kuhn, both of them playing cricket up at CRYMS, so I'm sure both of them will be dying to win this little battle. Colour comes in.
A little floated delivery, but just helped into the outfield. I'm always interested to know, because obviously they train together, bowling in the nets, who feels like they've got the wood over the other.
I feel like as a batter there's very, very little you can do to win, apart from really take a big over. So kind of takes the pace right off that one. Jake Egan just punches it to backward point. So I think there's more to gain as a bowler. You can go for a couple boundaries. As long as you get the wicket, you're laughing. Not as easy for the batter.
It's a slightly quicker one. It's hit back at McCullough as he manages to stop it going for a boundary. That'll sting a little bit. Looks like he caught it in his left hand. So we were talking at the beginning of the game about what we thought would be a good total. 5 wickets down and 9 overs left in the innings. So that one's a little bit uppish and probably just go for 1. 11 overs gone and the Northern Knights are 61 for 5. So we were talking about 150, 160, but obviously 61 for 5 after 11 overs. They'll be reassessing what they're trying to get to. Double the score at this point. Do you think that would be their first port of call?
Yeah, I think that'll be first port of call, but I don't think that'll be enough. Certainly don't think that'll be enough. As we look at the Northern Knights scorecard there, Morgan Topping, unfortunately, second ball of the innings, first ball for him, moving across his stumps and getting bowled. And to be honest, the Northern Knights just haven't really got momentum since then. Jake Egan's had a couple nice shots off the back foot, one big over, but apart from that, it's been tough going. I think doubling the score will be the bare minimum.
Damgard continues. Yeah, it's interesting looking at that scorecard because Egan's 25 from 25, but 12 of those runs were from just 2 deliveries. So it's the rest of the runs coming from 23. So apart from the 2 maximums, his strike rate isn't great. But it does help the strike rate when you can score those boundaries. Field has spread, so Munster Red's not overly concerned with piling the pressure on in terms of keeping fielders up.
No, and I think that's also, it looks like it's just been difficult to rotate the strike and hit the sweepers with the two-paced. A big slog sweep from Jake Egan. Looks like he's got it in the gap, and that'll be boundary for Egan and release a little bit of pressure, and it gets Damgard into double figures runs-wise of 3.3 overs. It's been some spell. Egan probably feeling a little bit of pressure now, and I think this next, as we're talking about a pass score, I think these next 4 or 5 overs will be crucial. I think McCarthy and Manley will finish out. These two batters, if they can try and capitalize a little bit.
Well, sharp chance for Damgard. Didn't get too much of a sight there. So back-to-back boundaries for Jake Egan as he's single-handedly dragging the Northern Knights up to something that he hopes will be a defendable total.
And that's exactly what he's doing. You can see they're expecting something a little bit fuller, and that's exactly what he got. He's really just got the hands right through that. He's actually done really well to hit it as hard as he has and get it over Damgard's head there. That's an exceptional shot from Jake Egan the ball before, and this one he just knocks down to long on after hitting 2 boundaries. Keeping that scoreboard ticking is so important now. Just seeing here, looking out into the field, and looks like Brandon Kruger warming himself up there. You've got young Harry Dyer, another off-spinning option, and just feel like the Knights probably need to recognise how important the next few overs are here.
Well, Cohn turns the strike over again. He'll retain the strike for the next over. It was a good over for the Northern Knights as they took 11 from it, and after 12 there's 72 for 5.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit optimistic for the Northern Knights, but I think if they were to be able to double now, they would probably be quite happy with that, I reckon. Around 140, I think they would feel as though they're possibly in the game. I think run a ball, it's very, very difficult to build pressure. You can see their bowling figures, as I was trying to mention there, McCarthy and Manley, both exceptional spells up front, and they'll close out the innings. That's the end of Damgard, an incredible spell of 3 for 16. Could have almost had his 3rd caught and bowled there. In that last over. Ali Frost, I'd be surprised if we see him again. So it's probably up to McCulloch and Brandon Kruger to get some bowling in here, and then McCarthy and Manley to finish out. So I think, as I say, the Knights need to acknowledge just how important this little period is now, because it's going to be tough to try and hit the seamers coming in and hitting the deck hard later. I think they'll still get a little bit of assistance from the pitch.
So Kruger bowling his first over from the Dundonald end. His right arm off spin, a single to start out. So overs 17, 18, 19 and 20 we expect Josh Manley and Liam McCarthy. So it's the overs from here 13 to 16 where the spinners will have to do a good job of containing this Northern Knights pair. They've done well since the 5th wicket was taken at 48. Already added almost 30, which has been good going in the context of the game. Jake Egan, he's eyeing up those straight boundaries. Not a catchable height, but not anywhere near the bowler.
Yeah, I think we might see McCulloch come from the other side here, is he? Following Kruger, and I think that the two of them, as you say, will bowl up until that opening pair. Come back as Kun goes big, and he looks like he's picked up the man at deep mid-wicket who takes a very good catch above his head. Very, very good catch by Jordan Neal out there at deep mid-wicket. It's not easy staying on the rope as you move across there. He could have easily run in underneath it, but he's kept his eyes on it and he's taken it above his head. And that's an important wicket. It's Tyron Kun, especially if the left arm spin's going to come from the other side there. The left-hand, right-hand combination, very important. And unfortunately, that's the end of Kun for 7 off just 12 balls. Score now goes to 74 for 6. And the Northern Knights certainly in more and more trouble.
Absolutely. He got a good contact there, but it was well judged in the deep by Jordan Neal. As you say, did well not to go over the rope. Just didn't quite get the elevation. Have a look here. Over the head, it was almost like a mark in Aussie rules. And the fact that he was in off the rope a little bit meant that it It almost went over his head, but he managed to reel it in. So the Northern Knights lose their 6th, and it just feels like nobody's putting their hand up to stay out there in the middle with opener Jake Egan. He's ploughing a lone furrow out there. Tom Mays, can he stay with the opening batter? I just feel like it's so difficult to get in when you're coming out onto this pitch, that if one player can just go to run a ball, the field is out. You don't need to score the boundaries. Put that pressure, leave that pressure on Jake Egan, who's been doing well at judging the boundary balls, and just turn the strike over.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. He just needs someone to offer him a little bit of support. Tom May is very capable with the bat, as he shows first up there, just knocking it back down past the bowler. Very, very capable with the bat, but would probably like a little bit more pace on the ball and the field slightly more attacking, so he can go over the top, not necessarily knock it around. He's a big boy and he can hit the ball a long way, that's for sure.
It's just about whether you can put the ego away and recognize the situation, play to that. And we'll find out if Mays is up to that task, because Egan feels like he probably should have found the gap there, just finds the fielder instead. Kruger really rips that one to follow up a dot with another dot, and so it's been a brilliant over from him. 1 wicket and 3 runs in it. 13 overs gone, and the Northern Knights are 75 for 6.
I'll tell you one thing, Izzy, that Northern Knights won't be too disheartened with the score that they've got here. They'll be looking at the wicket and thinking there's a little bit of spin on offer. It's a little bit too paced. And there's also certainly something in it for the seamers up front with the new ball. So I think they'll be thinking to themselves, if we can just get another 50, something along those lines, who knows? But it's just a case of now getting those 50, which, as we say, someone needs to be there with Jake Egan to assist with that. Unfortunately, no one's done that yet. As we see, as expected, Carson McCulloch, it was actually Zubair Khan who had originally taken his jumper off and started giving it to the umpire before he was told to just hang on a moment there, and Carson McCulloch came running over. So I think that shows just how important that dismissal of the left-hand batter was, because I don't think Carson McCulloch would be bowling if Tyron Quinn was still out there.
Such a good point, and they're going to take a quick single to that player you just mentioned. Zubair Khan didn't manage to stop that one, and he tried to attack it to effect the run out, and instead of effecting a run out, he's given away the runs. Just a single, so not too costly. And this will be interesting now. Left arm spin against Mays. Can he just turn the strike over? Like I said, keep hold of the ego.
Looking pretty solid there so far. Yeah, I think it'll be the first couple balls. He'll have no issue. It's Carson McCulloch doesn't mind taking pace off and lobbing one up there.
Well, that was a little bit short, and Tom Mays fancied it but didn't get hold of it at all. Just gets the single though, so that's the important part. He's got his senior partner Egan on strike. Jake Egan 35 from 31. That one's an arm ball that he's just able to help out into the deep mid wicket. So these couple of overs, I think Munster Reds will be happy to just go with a run a ball, something like that.
I think so. I think they'll be looking to their two pace men at the back end to really do a good job and make it tough. I think they'll... Oh, I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. It looks like McCulloch's trying to take the pace off the ball or do some sort of variation, and that has certainly not come out the way that he wanted to. And it's been called a no ball by umpire Johnny Kennedy for the double bouncer. Certainly Tom Mays will be fancying his chances to flex the arms and get one out the middle here to get him going. The free hit. Mays goes out to deep mid wicket. Deep mid wicket stays on the rope, takes it on the bounce and gets it in, and he's only able to get a single off it.
Yeah, just in case you're watching and wondering why that's a no ball. And if there's more than one bounce in front of the popping crease, it's a no ball. So that's why it just looked like it's stuck in the hand there for Carmichael or McCulloch. Never a nice one as a spinner, is it, when you get those double bouncers? The demons start going into the head.
Correct. Correct, we've all been there, some more than others.
So 14 overs gone. Although the no ball not too costly. 7 runs in the over. So exactly what we were saying the Northern Knights would have been focusing on, and after 14 they're 82 for 6. So key in this this target setting is Jake Egan. If they can manage to get rid of him, Munster Reds will feel like they can keep the Northern Knights under 110, maybe 100, 120. It's hard to know what they'd be aiming at, but he is the key wicket.
He really is, and on the flip side of that, obviously, the Northern Knights will be hoping that Egan's able to find the boundary a few more times as he gets cut off down at long off, but another nice strong shot. He's certainly the only person who's looked to find anywhere near the middle of the bat so far. As he tries to look to put Brandon Kruger under a little bit more pressure here. I imagine this could be Kruger's last. They'll certainly be trying to cash in here, the Northern Knights.
Well, Misfield in mid-wicket from Damgard means they'll get through for the single. It's not Damgard, excuse me, it's Josh Manley, the captain, even worse. As captain, you want to lead by example. It's launched deep and wide, and he finds the boundary. Does Jake Egan? Oh, he's so good when it's even short, in any way short. The short arm jab. And the brilliant part about that was the direction. He sent it wide of the fielder at long on.
Yeah, that's a really good shot, that wide of long on, because the line, it's just a jab, as you said, Izzy. You know, the line was a bit too tight to play a full pull, and similar sort of thing there. That one he hasn't quite caught it, but that 6 before it was such a good shot. It's almost a straight bat over wide long on.
Off the back foot as well, and that just shows that the misfield in mid-wicket was so costly because he's managed to score a 6 off that delivery. Hard to think that Tom Mays would have done the same. It is Mays on strike now. This time it does go straight to Manley in mid-wicket. Just the single delivery left for Kruger. Nice little arm ball to close out the second over. So 1 for 12 for him in 2 overs. We'll have to wait and see if we see any more of him. 15 overs gone. They're 91 for 6, the Northern Knights. And that'll be it for me and James Cameron Dow for this innings. Thank you to JCD for giving us your views. A few more players, our viewers there on the sideline. But to take you to the end of the innings, it's Annie McCalmont and John Kenny.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel. Short, sharp spells here for the comms as well. 2 minutes since we were on, John. It's in the air, but he's got enough of that, I think. And that will take Jake Egan to a really excellent half century. Comes from 37 balls. And he seems to have been batting on a different track here. He's the only one that's really timed the ball. He's hit a few big 6s already. That one takes him to his half century.
One of only 2 to get into double figures. He's seeming like a beach ball out there. They need him now, top of the order, onto 53. He's targeted this over to get after McCullough.
Definitely, I mentioned it was a really big innings for Jake Egan. Chumps at the minute.
Tries to catch it. There's a man down there. It's going to fall short. Oh, he slips.
Oh, and he slipped on it. Didn't judge the spin on that. Ali Frost, it's gone for 4. That's the 100 up for the Knights. Big over this one. Ready. 12 from it. Yeah, just ran past it.
A little wet down there, obviously. Pretty grey overhead. There's a 50% chance of rain, you were telling me, in maybe an hour's time. They go through that 15 overs in just under an hour, which is incredible stuff.
It's great.
McCullough has bowled from both ends as well. Dundonald and now the City end. Flatter delivery, that carved away, lovely shot. I think they're going to cut that off. Can in the floor and chase. Runs away for 4. Expensive over this one. It's needed. That's what? 16 off it so far, and still 1 delivery to come. That's a lovely shot, though.
He just let that come on to him with the pace a little bit flatter from Carson McCullough, a little bit more pace on the ball. He's let that come on to him and played it behind square. Got it in the gap. It's another boundary. This is a big over. The context of this game. Wicket looks difficult.
And flatter again, carved away. There's a man down there. I don't think he's going to cut that off either. Nope, got a forlorn hand to it that time. That's a huge over. Egan in particular moves to 65. End of that over. On to Nelson, 111 for 6. Lovely shot again. Backward of square. Takes him to 111 for 6 at the end of 16. And Egan onto 65. Dive. Slight fingertips to it, but can't prevent it from crossing the boundary ropes. And this is a good acceleration in that last over from Egan.
Yeah, very much so. That could be a big over. We could be looking back at that over later, because given what we've seen so far, John, this could be a low scoring game. 20 off 1 over. That was the opening ball. It's deposited straight over the boundary for 6. Followed up with a boundary in the same area, and then 2 backward of square on the offside as McCullough just dragged it down. So 20 off the last and up to 111 with 4 to go. As you mentioned, we're not looking at 180, 190 here today. It's a difficult wicket. McCarthy's back.
There's the end of McCullough's spell. 4 overs, none for 36. McCarthy back. As you say, 1 for 8 off his previous 2 overs. He'll bowl over number 17 and over 19, I suspect, just to wrap up his 4. Man from Railway Union. There's a big smile on his face. Plays cricket for fun, enjoys it. On Nelson still. Egan on 65. Mays at the other end now, 6 from 10. It's in the air. There is a fielder below. Can he come in and catch it? Yeah. Well, eventually. But 4 jiggles on that one from Ali Frost coming in from the boundary ropes, but he held on in the end. And McCarthy, as you can see, another big smile on his face. That's his 2nd wicket. And Mays goes for 6. But eventually, Frost came in. Actually set himself quite well underneath the dropping ball. Then dropped it, but he had his body underneath it. And it popped up back into his hands as well. So that's the 7th wicket down now. The score on 111. And again, Nelson shows its destructive power.
We'll see it again here. To see Ali Frost coming in to screen here. There he is. 1, 2, 3, and then another one. Yep, there you go. So that was Caught Frost, Caught Frost, Caught Frost, and Caught Frost again. So managed to keep the hold of it, which is what's all important at the end of the day. Nobody will look back and say nothing about it other than it was caught. So Mays is gone. As you mentioned on our last stint, Egan doesn't want to run out of partners here. 7 down. He's hitting the ball as cleanly as you could wish out there on a very, very difficult surface by the look of it. They certainly don't want to leave any deliveries wasted. So the idea, you would think, you know that everybody's going to be aggressive, but the idea at the minute with just under 4 overs to go surely would be take the ones on offer, get Jake Egan as much of the strike in these last 3.5 or so overs. He's on 65, as I say. Only 2 double figures in the innings, and he's on 65. So you would think Humphreys will be just looking to play the old tip and run.
Inside edge, yeah. McCarthy got a wicket with his 2nd ball in his first spell, and he's done something similar here. A wicket with the 2nd ball of his 2nd spell, removing Mays. Eventually caught Frost for 6. The only other Northern Lights player in double figures, Room Pretorius, went for 12. He really is anchoring this innings, Egan, and he needs to see the strike over these next 3 and a bit overs.
Yeah, it's the old double-edged sword, though. Obviously, the more strike he gets, the more runs he can score, but also the possibility of him getting out. And they certainly wouldn't want to lose Egan for this last sort of 3 over charge here.
Yeah, they're looking for him to carry his bat.
Definitely.
Possibly do so. He's on to 66 now. Just 43 deliveries. Good innings this from Egan. Well, those around have fallen. He's been their stalwart. They had to run the changes as well in terms of their bowling. 7 used so far. But, Khan and Frost really were hit out of the batting lineups, giving expensive overs away. But the spinners seem to have done the job. Damsgaard has got 3 wickets. McCarthy's chipped in with his medium pacers, taking 2 for. Really grey out there now. That's a picture you see on the screen is not what we're witnessing live. It's well bowled. You can chop that out from beneath his pad and ran the quick single. That ends that over. 17 down, 115 for 7.
You're quite right, John. The wind has freshened as well. And you can see on your screen a little bit more of an idea about what we're looking at. Cameras do lighten it a little bit, so it's got a little bit dark. But the bonus, as you mentioned earlier, that they've run through 17 overs here in just over an hour. It's excellent going. The spinners, of course, in action. Helps that. Be Manley, McCarthy now, you would think, to finish off, though.
Manley bringing himself back on now from the city end. McCarthy's bowled well there. 2 for 12 off his 3. Just 4 runs and a wicket in the previous over. He conceded. Reds think they're still very much on top. What can the Knights do in these last 3 overs?
Nicely bowled from Manley, very full.
Show the stumps.
Gonna
They're
take
gonna
2.
take the arm on here. Yeah, that's good running. Spotted it early. It's a bonus.
It's really good running from Egan. Good awareness. Watching out there. Coaching a lot of under 11s last night. Who could do with watching that? Weren't really aware of runs. You can see there, as soon as that ball hit the stumps, nowhere around, so it had gone no more than a yard. So Egan realised that he could get back for 2. Really good awareness. You can see it just stops dead. And he gets straight back. Here comes Manley. They're wide, and the good thing about that is it gets Egan back on strike. That's vital now for the Knights. See for people running for cover at the moment. Coach going on. Hopefully we can miss the rain.
Just to your left-hand side of your screen there, you can see where there's a mat down covering another wicket out there. It's flapping along in the breeze. Players have been fixing it, not to get tripping on it. Look down the leg side again, another wide. 2 in a row. Lost his shape, Manley. Doesn't want to give Egan a free swing of the arms. He's overcompensating.
Yeah, he's really trying to bowl full into the pads. He got it right first ball, but has since just letting the angle is blown away to his right as we look at it. It's just drifting down leg. It's a bit straighter, skewed off the inside edge by Egan. Just one then.
Not many spectators in, there's only a handful. The obligatory woman and his dog is walking around the boundary ropes. A few people away to your left-hand side there as you're watching it, sitting on fold-out seats. A few people up on the right-hand side, up on the buildings to our right. Below that, the tents which house the 2 teams and the umpires and the scorers. Again, that's 3 wides from the over.
Yeah, so 2 balls gone in the over. It's gone for 6 without the ball really going outside the circle. 6 runs picked up already. The leg buys and 3 wides.
Looking to push on to maybe about 150, which wouldn't be a bad score.
I think 150 will be a good score here on this track.
We're looking for it. Pushing for 2 here. Won't make it. Fielder in quickly from the boundary. We're praising them getting through the rovers quickly. Manley is slowing all that down. 6 deliveries, but only 3 real. Those are 3 wides. 2 singles so far. Egan back on strike. He's on 68.
Good take there from Metcalf off to his right. It's the full ball. Manley's looking for. See the umpire in front of us here. Johnny Kennedy just taking off his hat. Get a bit of a gauge because a bit of the wet stuff does appear to be coming down. A difficult time for the umpires. Only 2 and a bit overs left.
Yeah, I'd like to see that, wouldn't I? Just get it done and dusted. Oh, that's a full toss. That's gone all the way, has it? Or maybe 1 bounce 4. Yeah, 1 bounce 4. Egan taking on the bowler there.
Got it in the gap, which was the important thing. Bounce over the ropes, but he just.
Oh, they've changed it. It's actually a 6.
We'll have a look at it here. Just check that. See what we think. Here we go. Slowing it down, and oh, I think it hit the rope.
It hit the ropes, exactly. So the fielders are scurrying off because the rain is coming down pretty heavily now. There is a fair old breeze out there from left to right as we're looking at it. Hopefully this is just a passing shower and we will resume play pretty quickly. So rain has stopped play with the score at 128 for 7 in the 18th over. Egan on 74 from his 48 face. Humphreys 3 for 3. And run rate's pushed up now past 7. It was rather strange over from Manley there. Too many wides, not great deliveries, and then he went for 6 at the last ball, and the rain is cascading down now. Got to give a lot of credit to the ground staff here. They're very quick with those tarpaulins to get things covered as soon as they possibly can, as well as they possibly can, and hopefully we'll be back playing pretty soon. Don't forget, Munster Reds won the toss and decided to put the Knights in to bat. We're going to take us a little break, obviously, here because of the rain. We hopefully will be back with you shortly. Egan 74, 128 for 7, with 1 more to be bowled in the 18th over. Hopefully this rain won't be around for very long. So for the moment, from Stormont, it's bye for now.
go.
Well, welcome back. I'm afraid the ward in Belfast won't see any more cricket today because no results. The Reds won the toss, elected to bowl, and Northern Knights made 128 for 7. Then we had a very, very heavy shower, and the run-up areas are fine. The wickets okay, playable as well, but the surrounds are just full of mud, and so they've decided with the 50-over game to be played here tomorrow and the possibility of rain a little bit later on to abandon the game, sadly. So the Knights made 128 for 7 in 17.5 overs before the rains came, and so no results, 2 points apiece. We will try again tomorrow for the 50-over match. Join us for that starting at 10:45 Irish time. It will be once again the Knights against the Munster Reds, but for the moment the IP20 game has been abandoned with the score of 128 for 7. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully bright and early at 10:45 for a prompt start for the IP50 game. From John Kenny and the rest of the HBV crew here in Belfast, it's bye for now.